Thank you. With that, we'll address the next agenda item for CUP 14-0003. A request by Dana Jones, represented by Harry Bondi, for an conditional use permit to allow an auto reduction recycling center on a 50-acre tract. With that, I'll open it up for staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, we got a conditional use permit request for auto reduction recycling center and ranching, agricultural, and mining, RAM zoning district. Dana and Judy Jones, represented by Mr. Harry Bondi. 18-acre parcel located out of a 50-acre tract in the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 2 and the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 3, both in Township 33, Township 35 North, Range 83 west of the 6th Principal Meridian, Natrona County, Wyoming. Property address is 24185 U.S. Highway 2026. Existing and surrounding zoning is ranching, agriculture, and mining. Gentlemen, this is on Highway 2026, headed west out of town towards Shoshone. All right, here guys, mouse is biting me a bit. So here we've got Highway 2026 headed out west of town. Subject properties located there. I believe we're 26 miles west of town? 28 miles west of town. Here's an existing photograph looking south. There's an existing structure there. Here we are looking west, looking north. We had a photo looking east, but it's not pulling up. Apologize, gentlemen, we had some technical difficulties right prior to the meeting, and I think we have lost that photograph. But looking east looks remarkably similar to looking west. Background, applicant Dana Jones. Dana Jones is proposing to install an auto reduction recycling center on his Natrona property. The applicant has proposed an 18-acre vehicle containment area within that tract. The planned containment area will be screened with a 6-foot tall steel and wood fencing. Auto reduction recycling is an allowed conditional use in the ranching, agricultural, and mining zoning district. Auto reduction recycling center is defined as an area or business used for the dismantling, wrecking, dumping, or storage of inoperative vehicles, including the buying, selling, or dealing of such vehicles or parts of the vehicles. Applicant seeks a conditional use permit for auto reduction and recycling. Key issue: should Natrona County approve a conditional use permit allowing an auto reduction recycling center at this location within ranching, agricultural, and mining RAM zoning district? Standards for approving conditional use permits. Remember, we need to, all items below must be met. Granting conditional use permit will: 1, not overburden county resources; 2, cause density or environmental problems; 3, impair use of adjacent property, alter neighborhood character; and 4, dramatically affect public health, safety, and welfare, or nullify the intent of the land use plan and zoning resolution. Proposed findings of fact: proposed CUP does not require additional county services to maintain and operate the proposed auto reduction recycling center. The proposed Natrona location is accessed from Highway 2026. Proposed CUP will not cause undue traffic, parking, population density. Property will be accessed through an existing highway access off of 2026. Give up on the mouse, guys.
Once you get up there, I
Proposed finding of fact on environmental issues provided by the applicant. Applicant provided these facts in his application. All hazardous fluids from stored vehicles will be removed. Fluid storage tanks will be removed from some vehicles. Jones's hazardous material handling practices are developed from interstate licenses and regulated hauling of hazardous materials and complying with multiple state and federal regulatory requirements associated. The containment area is located to a flat terrain as to limit any exposure to the drainage area. See here in a different photograph coming up that what they're proposing on this area is the containment area, the fenced in area, is up off the creek onto a flatter area to try to take care of any drainage or environmental issues of stuff draining from the vehicles into the drainage. The applicant has also recognized that there's existing vehicles very near the drainage, and they want to move those vehicles away from the drainage into this containment area. Land surrounding the auto recycling center will likely continue as ranch land. The proposed 6-foot tall wood and steel screening would limit the impact on the adjacent properties. By seeking and if approved, the proposed CUP would not nullify the intent of the land use plan and zoning resolution. This illustration demonstrates what I was attempting to describe. This entire area here is the area they have requested for the CUP. It's in a lighter color that did not scan very well. And then this green area is where they propose to move all the vehicles and construct the 6-foot wood and metal fence.
Would that fence be around the entire perimeter or just facing the roadway?
My understanding is it would be on 3 sides, the north, west, and east sides of the containment area. Predominantly be in the viewing direction of folks traveling down Highway 2026, either eastbound or westbound. Again, our 4 standards: not overburden county resources, cause density or environmental problems, impair the use of adjacent property or alter neighborhood character, detrimentally affect public health, safety, and welfare, or nullify the intent of the land zoning resolution. I would like to add, again, had a little bit of technical difficulties beforehand. The applicant did also provide us with an evaluation from a health standard guy that went out and looked for vermin living on the property and did not note excessive vermin on the property, and we do have copies of that if you'd like to see that. Folks may not be able to read that, but I can sure read it to you. It's a letter from the Wyoming Department of Transportation. It's regarding special use permit for Dana Jones. After careful discussion and consideration with Whiteout's Compliance and Investigation Office, as well as the Wyoming Attorney General's Office, it has been determined that the property at 24185 West Highway 2026 belonging to Mr. Dana Jones does not meet the statutory definition of a junkyard. The definition of a junkyard in Wyoming statutes is as follows: an establishment or place of business which is maintained, operated, used, storing, keeping, buying, or selling junk for the maintenance or operation of an automobile graveyard. And the term shall include garbage dumps and sanitary fills. Although Mr. Jones may sell 1 or 2 items a year, we do not consider this to constitute an establishment or place of business under our interpretation of statute. The Wyoming Highway Commission has stated, while the junkyard places the responsibility of the junkyard control on the Commission, as such as licensing, screening, or removal, the Act clearly makes the establishment, operation, and maintenance of a junkyard a nuisance. Under the statutory authority, the respective county attorneys are empowered to take such and necessary to abate a nuisance. It is the position of the Commission that it is not able to investigate and litigate against junkyards that are a nuisance, but rather the individual counties should, through their county's attorney's office, instigate legal action to abate these nuisances. Commission will cooperate in a way with the county seeking to abate these nuisances. I hope this will help you in your decision in either granting or not granting special use permit for Mr. Jones. I'll defer to Mr. Knight on my interpretation of that, but staff's position was that providing screening would help necessitate some of that nuisance. But we did receive this letter from the Highway Commission. Notification of this public hearing was published in the Casper Star Tribune. The department has sent notification to surrounding property owners regarding this Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing and seeking comment. Department has received 7 public comments, 1 comment in favor, and 6 comments opposing. These comments have been provided via hard copy. That's in that packet that you guys received. If anyone in the audience would like to see those, we'll hand that out. I'll save the time of reading those aloud currently. The applicant has completed the CUP process. Department has received and provided public comment. Staff proposes a motion and vote by the Planning and Zoning Commission act to recommend, deny, or table the requested conditional use permit. You'll notice in your staff reports a little different wording there. We had not received all the public comment at that time. Want you all to be able to consider the public comment that we received since publishing the staff report. Staff also recommends a motion to incorporate by reference all findings of fact set forth herein and make them a part thereof.
Thank you, Jason. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item, please step forward.
Me? Go ahead, Judy. You don't have to wait for somebody to find it.
My name is John Stevenson, 6694 Poison Spider. I would like to speak in favor of this for Mr. Jones. It's quite evident to me that he's willing to go the extra mile to be compliant, and I commend him for that. I think it's a great step forward. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Judy Jones, 335 North 8 Mile Road, Casper, Wyoming. I'm so glad to be here tonight to speak to you directly. My history with the Commission and the BOCC is that of an active citizen participation, and it is widely practiced. This is not a new concept. It can, however, sometimes present a problem for a government body or appointed members of a commission, but I don't believe this is the case here with this commission. My husband and I own a respectable trucking company operating within a heavily regulated industry. We are law-abiding citizens, taxpayers, and you can ask us any questions you would like here tonight, and we'll try to answer them for you. The first thing I would like to address is that I myself have sat in enough meetings of both county commissioners and planners to know that neighbors' opinions matter very little when it comes to decisions made by either this commission or the BOCC. I have seen an entire neighborhood speak against a new subdivision or a zone change, and it's passed both this commission and the BOCC's commission. I've seen neighbors speak against collector car permits, zone splits, land splits, etc. And both board commissioners have passed it. So it would seem while they get to voice their concern and their opinions, they really have little impact on the final decision of other commissions, and frequently cannot persuade a commission or board to act. There's at least, well tonight, 5 or 6 of the neighbors out by our Natrona property that wrote letters opposing our application for an auto reduction yard permit. I believe those in opposition, as well as this commission, are curious as to the intention and reasoning of why we are applying for an auto reduction recycling center and not a collector car permit. I'll let my husband try to clarify that subject for you, and I'll move on to something else. Something I thought was important. I'm not here to throw anyone under the bus or to get other people that live out in Natrona into trouble. But I would like to show you some photographs of other properties coming from Natrona's county line all the way to all the way to Casper. If I could have those, Harry? No, each one's got it. You're good. If you'd like, we could kind of go through them together. The first one is at the very beginning of Natrona County when you're coming east into Casper. It's Floyd and it's Waltman's store. And he's got cars out there and he's doing his thing. And that's just pretty much par for the course of this highway. You guys can look at those if you want. And then the second one is Powder River itself. They have quite a bit going on over that way too. And then the third set is Daniel Miller, and he's got stuff on his property as well. The point I'm trying to make with some of this is that we're not out of step with the character of what's going on out that way. I mean, every property you drive by has something going on, whether it's cars or van trailers or whatever. There's something going on with it. So to me, I'm right in compliance with what's going on. And of course, the property's been used this way since the 1930s. The only difference is they no longer have the car repair on the property that once was there. I'll let you guys view those for a little bit and then we'll go on. Number 5, you have the Crow property that has quite a few cars. And if you'll notice, in most of all of these, there's no fencing. In fact, some of them are even using van trailers to hide their, stuff behind the van trailers. We're willing to put up a fence. That's not an issue. And that goes from all the way from the county line and right into town. Moving on. Second, I'd like to address the guidelines that the county uses in its CUP process for permits. I believe we have met all 5 of the criteria used by the Commission Board and Planning and Zoning to accept and pass the CUP for auto reduction yard. We are the owners on record. Granting this conditional use permit will not overburden any county services. We don't have any need for anything else. We're pretty much self-contained, and we have been. 3, granting this conditional use permit will not cause any more traffic, parking, population density, or environmental problems. Twice the county has been out to our property, once back in 2010 with Linda McLarnon, and even when she was on the property, she made no note of any EPA issues or oil or gas or any of that, and that was long before any of this really started. Number 4, granting this conditional use permit will not impair the use of adjoining neighbors or change the character of the neighborhood. Well, I think I've addressed the character of the neighborhood. Everybody's got stuff. As far as adjoining neighbors, we have our own road that goes into our property. There's no other roads that lead on our property or across it. There's no easements. The only entrance is at the beginning of the property, and there's no other entrances. So if you can't get over my chain gate, there's no reason to come in. Number 5, granting this conditional use permit would not be detrimental to affect public health or the safety and welfare. Like I said, we've had them out there twice. In fact, their last visit in July, this 2013, we had the county code enforcement out there. Mr. Knight was there, Trish Chavez, Gene Wallace, Wayne Lang, and no one mentioned anything about oil problems or, you know, fuel or anything like that. The only thing I keep on the property is I keep a 1,000-gallon tank. And that's for my fire suppression. It's filled up from the water that I do have, because I do have water, and it's on a well. And most of the trucks that I use do have fire extinguishers on board. So if I have any problems with it, I can deal with it. All right, let's go. As you know, I'll go with number 4 here. The use of people's property is not impaired, as the only close neighbor with the home has told me personally she has no issues. She would have come and speak tonight, but she was tied up with the BLM. The character of the neighbor is ranching, mining, and agriculture. As I said, all the properties that come in from Natrona all the way in, we all look pretty much the same. As Mr. Gutierrez said, in the 2000 zoning resolution, RAM does allow auto record business, auto service station, and meat processing, mining, and agitation, to name a few that do not even require a permit. We are simply trying to comply with the county's own 2000 resolution that we came closest to, and apply for the best fitting conditional use for our actual use of property, which is auto reduction yard, since we are storage. We are in the process of cleaning up both buildings and debris left from previous owners of more than 50 years ago, and the auto reduction yard permit allows us a wide array of options to dispose of vehicles and debris. I have used 5 36-yard dumpsters just this last year alone in my cleanup of this property. The costs are extensive for these dumpsters, and I do plan to continue to do my cleanup. We need a way to dispose of these items in an economic and more efficient manner. Burn permits we have gotten for the last 3.5 years, and again, that's what I use my 1,000-gallon tank for. We will be removing all the cars and items located down under the hill out of the floodways and dispose of, and we already have disposed of many of the derby cars and the less valuable cars that we have. We will be putting up a fence to shield the vehicles from the public right-of-ways. As you know, fencing isn't 100%, but we'll do our best to make it look good for everyone. And with that, I'll take any questions and let the next guys go.
Question? Jim? I'm not sure, but that creek just to the south of your property, that's kind of the head of Casper Creek.
Yeah, it's about this wide.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah.
As a crow flies, it's about 3 miles to the Golden Islands fishing area.
Yeah.
And I know there's a gate off Casper Creek so that they can control that level of Golden Island from time to time, or even drain it if necessary. My only concern is just that south end. I guess I'd like to see maybe a trench and a little berm along that south, just to make
To
sure.
be on the property, to be honest with you,
Pardon?
to be on that property in that area, it sits about 45 feet below where we'll have our cars. And that ditch down in there, that's where I had a burn permit for the last 3 years. And the stuff that's down in there, that's what came with the property when we bought it. So we're gonna take all that out. And everything's coming up. So it'll be like it's like a 35-foot drop off. Drop off.
It's my only concern is any liquids that might be
Yeah, well,
associated with reduction, I certainly wouldn't want them going down.
oh, no. I've made provisions for all of that as far as that, but if the berm is what you want, that would be fine, but I'm telling you, the cars don't even get near the edge anymore. It's dropped off.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Ms. Jones? A couple questions for you. First, what is an auto reduction and recycling? What
Well,
What are these cars used for?
Well, according to, okay, let's see. The definition that fits best for this property is in the 2000 resolution, and it says, storage of inoperable vehicles. And that's the language that's used. I'm referring to also where Commissioner Hendry once told me in a public meeting that an auto reduction recycling permit does not have to have any recycling or crushing or sales to be an approved permit. And then I believe I heard it from Mr. Knight too at, I think it was an 8-11 meeting with the car people. He said you don't have to actually do any crushing, which we haven't done, to let you know that. But that's the permit the county has wanted me to get for the last 4 years. And since Collector Carr came along in what, 2011? They wanted me to do that before that. So they wanted me to apply for auto reduction. Or Hendry wanted it, Winger wanted it, Keating wanted it. That's kind of the reason I went with it. It fits me better.
Is it a commercial operation, or
No,
you just have the cars?
just have the cars.
Okay. Another question, how'd you come up with 18 acres? Is the 18 acres, is that what the area of those cars is supposed to be?
I believe my lawyer and my husband could probably do better with the technicals on this. Can we let those guys do this?
Sure.
Because I was addressing what I do. I do the cleanup and the moving and, you know, that kind of thing, but I think those guys can handle that better for me. Harry, would you like to, or Dana? Either one of you. Come out over there.
Hello, my name is Dana Jones, owner of the subject property at Natrona. And the question was asked about the recycling auto reduction center. And in one of the requirements under that is if you have inoperable vehicles and you want to store them, you need this conditional use permit for that purpose. However, if we wanted to crush anything, we could have several vehicles set aside and have someone bring a portable crusher in to get rid of the things, which we may eventually do. But as far as a commercial operation, to do that continually, no. We are more interested in the storage of the vehicles rather than the crushing or the recycling. However, we are cleaning up, and we will haul quite a bit of those off, so the appearance of that thing will be better, and of course it'll be behind the fence.
I'm just trying to understand, what does so you store them for, you may need a part off of them in the future?
Well, what I do with them is I collect antique trucks, and I have quite a diverse selection of those from Coleman Fords, Martin Harrington Fords, and there are quite a few of those out there which I want to keep. However, there are some other vehicles that came with the property that are basically junk, and we will get rid of those. So it'll be more of a collection of parts and antique vehicles, where the conditional use permit for collector cars does not allow parts or vehicles that don't fit into their criteria of being antique, which we have on that property. So therefore, this permit fits better than the conditional use permit for collector cars.
So a question I had earlier was, is it 18 acres that
Yeah,
you're talking
actually,
about
the
fencing on?
portion of the property that lies south of the highway is approximately 18 acres. So rather than having a complete 50 acres set aside, we just set aside that southern portion of the property. However, we probably won't use a full 18 acres for that. We were talking more like 6 or 7 acres on the southern side of that. However, up against the fence and that creek bottom, we don't intend to have anything there. It'll be up on top of the hill.
I just did a quick calculation, that 18 acres, and if you use the size of a parking stall, you're talking, you could have 4,000 cars. And
Well, we don't have any intention to have 4,000 cars. Right now, I believe there's about 166 there, and I don't feel it'll increase much over that, because a lot of that will be hauled off, and much else will be entered into the property.
so, and the plan is to fence those 18 acres on 3 sides?
We plan to fence on 3 sides to screen it from view from the highway.
That's a big fence.
It'll be a substantial fence, sure.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's the entire 18 acres.
No.
That's correct.
That's what he was saying.
Oh, no, it won't be 18